Hello, I am the narrator. And before this episode starts, Maddie, George, and Maddie again will be talking about a very large beast. Very. Without further ado, let the show begin.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Maddie, and today we're going to be talking about Blastoise.
What's their evolution tree? What is its powers and weaknesses?
Now, Blastoise is one of the starter Pokemon in the first generation in its evolution after Squirtle and Wartortle. So Bulbasaur, Lucy. Blastoise is the last in its evolution. I keep saying Bulbasaur. So it's clear that Blastoise is a water type.
The powerful cannons on this Pokemon's back are capable of producing water blasts that can pierce through steel and concrete. With enough pressure, you can cut through basically anything.
This Pokemon is weak to grass and electric, but is actually more resistant to steel, water, fire, and ice.
What is it inspired by? And interview.
Blastoise clearly resembles that of like an extremely large tortoise, with just its turtle-like features. You got a large shell. It's brown. You got that cream on its belly. Another very iconic look for Blastoise is its like water cannons on its shoulders, which are inspired by tanks. Isn't that just dope?
Hello, Maddie here with the interview, and I'm here with a big fan of Pokemon. Yes, my name is Sarah, and I'm a huge Pokemon fan. Have you watched Mewtwo Strikes Back? Only 1,000 times? What can you tell me about Blastoise in the movie? Well, in the wild you could find Bulbasaur in the lakes, the freshwater ponds. Bulbasaur is a very iconic character in the Pokemon series, but one of the spotlights that I really had was the Mewtwo Strikes Back, which was cool markings on his body because he was a clone. Yep. Perfect. Thank you for your time. This has been Maddie with the interview. Back to the main show.
What type of species and its number. Some of the cards of this Pokemon.
Blastoise is the Master Class Toretta, as well as the number 009. Now, I kinda spoiled it when it comes to what Blastoise was inspired by, but there are two things that make him up. So there is, of course, the giant tortoise from Galapagos Island, as well as the Donald Duck tanks, which were the very first waterproof tanks. Now, I don't know if he was actually inspired by that Pacific tank. I just chose that tank because he's water and that's waterproof. So it kind of goes hand in hand. I mean, like, all tanks kind of have the same kaplawi range. And, his can cut through, like, steel and concrete and, like, blam blam. So, whatever.
The quote to the Pokédex. The gender difference. It crushes its foes under its heavy body to cause fainting. In a pinch, it will with a draw inside of its shell. Those giant tortoises creature likes to do finishing moves. That is the body slam.
It's time for your part.
Oh, I'm so excited to be researching about these tortoises. They could easily hit 100. We barely can.
Yeah, I can see that.
Good morning, everybody. My name is George. George. And today we're going to be talking about the tortoises of Galapagos Island. Information about the animal and what it looks like. Now these tortoises are there's about 12 different ones, but all of them can be brought up into like two categories. There are the saddlebacks, which, are kind of like a little flat, smaller, and they also live in the drier parts of the island. And then there are the dome shells, which is what we're going to be talking about today. The dome tortoises have a very round shell as well as a very long neck. Where they live, how long they live, and how do they get their food? You can only find these tortoises Galapagos Island. They are literally famous for that island. Right. In the Galapagos Islands. Now these dome shells tortoises like to live where it's more luscious, where there's more water and plantation. It's also just super cool and fascinating how these tortoises can hit 100, and they are one of the very few that can hit 100 and go over, animals wise. What they eat and what are their predators? Its scientific name. Believe it or not, something that is greatly affecting these giant tortoises is invasive species. Introduced species to this island such as dogs and cats, which prey on young tortoises, and cattle, which complete for grazing vegetation. When imagining an invasive species, household pets are probably not what come up to your mind, is it? These tortoises like to eat cactus pads, grass, and fruit. Another thing to know is that these giant Galapagos tortoises' scientific name is
Calanoidus nigra.
Thank you. Calanoidus nigra. Its mating habits and some random facts. Mating tends to happen from January to May, so very warm months. This is kind of silly but also interesting. The males will attract their females by roaring. Yes, roaring. Like a ferocious cat. Once the male and female find each other, the female will go and dig a hole and bury her eggs. There were a few other species of dome shell tortoises, one of them being
Plinta.
Thank you. The Paitina Island tortoises, but unfortunately they are extinct. The last one was George, named by me, after me, died in 2012, making that entire species extinct. On a brighter note, something that is very interesting and cool about these large Galapagos turtles is that they can go a full year without ingesting food or water and survive perfectly fine. Ish. The difference between male and female, and what is it related to? The
Plastrone.
Thank you, doctor. Plastone, also known as the underside of the belly, is a great indicator of the tortoise's gender. If the tortoise was a male, the plastone would be concaved. Well, that is all I have to talk about, but it appears that there seems to be more.
Oh yes, that's for me.
Oh, I see. You seem to have a lot of roles in this channel.
Well, I am the dominant personality. Good morning, everybody. My name is Maddie, and today we're going to be talking about the Donald Duck tank.
What is it? What does it do?
Now, let's just get something out of the way. The Donald Duck tank doesn't mean that it was inspired by something Disney. It was simply just nicknamed by the military. So, let's get that out of the way. Second, this tank was first designed and used by the British, which was the, yeah. And then the duplex drive was the first, like, waterproof tank that was used for D-Day, Death Day, you know. This very first waterproof tank wasn't necessarily an entire new species of tank, so to speak. It was just any other tank with an added feature, so that any tank could be adapted to this.
With the floating skirt up on the character's poblader in motion, the armored vessel can reach the speed of 4 knots. In hindsight, they simply made an inner tube that makes something the size of a car float on water.
Can it do more than one thing? Interview.
Major General Sir Percy Hobart was given responsibility for developing equipment and tactics to perform specialized tanks in support of ground troops on D-Day. What time period was this used? Where was it found?
The funny tank, which is its nickname, was designed mainly for D-Day on the Normandy terrain, which was like very soft, and you know, if you know anything about soft terrain, stuff can easily get stuck in that, so they needed a little bit of specialty with those.
What is it known as today? Questions?
When the US adopted this DD tank, the first waterproof tank, the British nicknamed it the funniest tank. So, I don't know why. They just did, I guess, because...
Well, looks like I have a question. Ready? Was this the only waterproof tank at the time?
Yes and no. This was the very first tank, but as soon as that one came out, many others came out with the same idea of having some kind of skirt or just like something to make it float. But it was the very first one to kind of spark the idea of having waterproof tanks or tanks that can just float. So this is unfortunately the end of the episode. If you've enjoyed learning about Blastoise, the giant Galapagos turtles, or even the DD tanks. There are links in the description that go more into detail about all of the information we found about it. If you've enjoyed, please leave a like, subscribe, and have a nice day. Good night. I haven't said this word, but bloopers. They're real. And they're coming.
Okay, I gotta speed run this because I have no idea how much or little time I have to finish this
Recording session. So, zoom zoom, yes. Okay, Blastoise clearly resembles the being like, hey, I don't like you anymore. I'm sorry to offend you.
water cannon. Bwah. Sure, all of you guys can tell how blind I am based on how close the paper has to be to my face. Oh no, don't sneeze. That'd be catastrophic. Ooh, that was catastrophic. Ooh. Ooh. Ew. Got spit all up in my mustache.
This is the end of the video, end of the video, end of the video. Bam, bam. End of the video, end of the video. This is the end of the video. Bam, bam. Bam, bam. Bam, bam. End of the video, end of the video, end of the video. Oh, oh.